Life Audio.
Hey, friend. Heather Creekmore here. Thanks for listening to the Compared to podcast. I hope you had a wonderful holiday. As we head into the new year, we're going to tackle it straight on by talking about the things you're probably thinking about and feeling, which might be this desire to shrink. Yes, it's real. It's everywhere. And for the first couple weeks of this new year, including today's episode, I am featuring women who have been on a journey with us. And you're going to hear their stories of healing after years of obsession, frustration, and bondage. Starting with today's episode, my client Lesley shares her story. She was part of a popular diet program for many years, and she's broken free. She's changed the way she sees things. I think you're going to really enjoy today's episode. Hey, I wanted to let you know about something free for you, and that is a mini course called Obsessed to Blessed, and it is absolutely free on the website right now just for the first 2 weeks of January, because I want to give you something to do. I want to encourage you to find body image freedom this year, and I'm making it absolutely free just for 2 weeks. So go to improvebodyimage.com/obsessed dash 2TO-blessed. That's improvebodyimage.com/obsessed to blessed. You can download the free mini course. It's got 3 modules, and it will set you on the right path towards body image freedom this year. We do have another 40-day journey starting January 20th. I do expect it to fill up. So if you're interested in jumping into the 40-day journey, grab your spot there. But most of all, just go get that free mini course. It's just my late Christmas gift to you. Obsessed-to-blessed at improvebodyimage.com. Friend, if you spent the whole holiday season obsessing over your body and what you wore to parties and what happened when you saw family and feeling like, man, this body stuff never ends for me, here's what I want you to do. Just go grab that mini course. Freedom is possible for you, just like it was for Lesley. And that's what you're going to hear more of in today's show. Let's get to it. I am so excited to have a former client come back today. It's the week before New Year's. This is your last show of 2025. And I thought the best way for us to end the year, as we're all thinking about next year and what we're going to do different next year, I thought the best way for us to end the year would be for you to hear from a real woman, a real person with a real story, who a couple years ago, her journey began. I mean, we have all been on journeys for a long time, right? So she began way before that, right? But my guest today is my former client, Lesley. And we're going to talk about the work that God has done to change, and I'm going to say transform her life. And so, friend, if you are like, I need a transformation, that's what I want. 2026, that's my transformation year. I mean, we all hear it everywhere. The kind of transformation that Lesley has had, is the beautiful kind that can't be replicated by just starting a new plan or spending more time in the gym. And so I'm excited for you to hear her story. Lesley, welcome to the Compared to podcast. Oh, I have had just so much fun working with you over the last, it's been a while, but a couple years ago was when I first got connected to you. And when you signed up, you proudly had your profession stated as someone who was working in the health and wellness world, and you were doing all things right. I remember our first call, Lesley. You remember you telling me how you're like, I track everything. And I almost think you wanted me to be like, good for you. That's awesome. And I probably was just like, okay, good, great. But that's just kind of a symbol of who you were before, a few years back when we first had our first conversation. And I would love to just hear, who did Lesley used to be, right? What was your life like before you went on this crazy body image freedom journey that you probably would say you didn't even know you needed or wanted, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. I had no idea how much I desperately needed this journey. Um, I'll give a little backstory leading into, why I connected with you, but years before that, I really can remember struggling with body image issues and thinking I was bigger boned than the other girls my age since I was in grade school. I was a gymnast in grade school, and I just, in my mind, thought it was a bad thing to weigh more or have more muscle on your body or be bigger boned. Even though no one told me that, I was convinced of my truth in this area. And I can even remember in grade school, there were times where I would be at a family function and I would eat so much. And I said to myself, tomorrow, Lesley, you cannot eat because you are enjoying yourself so much today that tomorrow you need to just
Mhm.
fast. And that was like in
Yeah.
grade school. And no one was telling me to
Right.
do that. But fortunately, because I hate being hungry, I did not follow through with those great intentions to fast the next day. However, I can assure you I restricted in some
Mhm.
way, mentally and physically. And so that pattern continued throughout my life. I was obsessed with the scale. I attached my worth and identity to that number. And quite honestly, whatever the number was dictated my mood for the day. And I really can look back at different times in my life where I had these, like, what I call body image flare ups, where I was especially uncomfortable in my skin and I tried to control that by restricting. Um, I didn't ever consistently restrict until I was out of college. And I was working as a physical therapist and personal trainer, and the people coming to me were interested in weight loss. And so my boss, now I didn't have a degree in nutrition or weight loss, my degree was in physical therapy, but my boss educated me on the science, the quote unquote science behind fat loss. So I started talking to my clients about that. And I thought, well, I better do what I'm suggesting to them. And at the same time, my boss made the comment that I will never forget. He said, you would be really lean at blank. And he gave me a number. Well, that was about 20 pounds less than I currently was. So in my mind, he's basically saying you need to
Mhm.
lose weight. So I decided to do that, and I went on a journey to tracking every morsel of food that went in my mouth. I tried to maintain a certain calorie amount for the day. Very rarely was I able to do that, but I was essentially restricting, and over time my body started shrinking. And although I got positive comments from some people, oh, you look so good, which was ultimately not healthy for my
Mhm.
mindset at the time, I now realize. I also had some friends approach me and were concerned that it had become a
Mhm.
problem. Eventually, at that time in my life, I was, I don't know, 2021. I was living by myself in a condo on the fifth floor. And so the garbage chute was outside of my condo, and I had to put my garbage down this chute. And I came to the point where I was willing to let go of those darn food journals, and I put them down the garbage chute, never to be retrieved again. I experienced a period of
Yeah.
freedom, and as I got engaged to my husband Tom, and as we were approaching our wedding, I really felt like the Lord was like, "Do not weigh yourself.
Mhm.
Do not try to lose weight for your wedding, unlike most brides." And
Yeah.
so I stuck to
Wow.
that. I did not weigh myself. I did not actively restrict. I did not try to lose weight for my wedding, and I'm so thankful for that
Mhm.
now, because I think if I knew that number, it could either be a place of
Mhm.
pride for me, like, oh, look, I'm still at my wedding
Mhm.
weight, or shame, like, look, I'm X amount heavier than my wedding
Yeah.
weight. So I'm actually so relieved I don't know that number. Um, but anyway, I went on to just over the next 15 years have different times where I struggled more with my body image. I did get diagnosed with Hashimoto's in 2004. And then in 2005, my husband and I started to grow our family, and we went on to have four kids. And obviously, my body changed with pregnancy and after pregnancy and all the things. And so, um, in 2019 is when I was introduced to a program by a friend of mine, because again, I had become uncomfortable in my skin. I wanted to lose some weight. I also wanted to gain energy. I was tired all the time. And so both of those things happened. I lost weight, I gained energy with this program, and I thought, wow, my health is actually improving. Like, I need to help other people with this. And at that time, it was like the perfect timing because now my 4 kids were in school. I had stayed home while they were growing up. And I just thought this would be a great thing to get into. So in my personality, I went all in and it became my full-time job. So I started coaching clients and I did that for 5 years. And over the course of that time, my weight started to slowly creep up. And now I'm, approaching my mid to late 40s, and that's natural to happen. But in my world, that was
Mm-hmm.
horrible. And so when I reached out to you, what had happened was a family member was struggling with their body image. And I wanted to help them. So I Googled Christian body image coach and your name popped up. So I signed up for your newsletter, and honestly, like, things kind of fizzled down with this family member. Life got busy. I went on with my life, never contacted you, never knew you wrote all these books, never knew you had a podcast, nothing. Then at the end of August, 2 years ago in 2023, I was just really, really striving and chasing after a number on the scale. And I just thought, it wasn't like crazy, but I was consumed with this. But it wasn't working. And I was not having peace about it. It was consuming all my thoughts and my time. And one day I got an email from you, basically sharing about your new class that would be coming up that fall, Body Image Freedom Framework course. And something in my spirit was drawn to it. I honestly believe the Holy Spirit was drawing me to take your class because I knew the route I was on was not working and it was not leading to freedom. And so, in fact, I had been convinced for so long that once I reached that goal weight, I would have peace, I would have contentment, I would have freedom. But that's not what happened. Like, the target kept
Yeah.
moving, and I started becoming discontent in other areas and thinking I needed to perfect other areas of my outside appearance, of my life.
Yeah.
And so when your email came in my inbox, as I said, my spirit was drawn to it. And I talked to my sweet husband about it, and he was just so supportive. I can still remember where we were on a
Mm-hmm.
walk when I talked to him about wanting to take this class. And he just stopped in his tracks and he said, Lesley, I've seen you struggle with
Mm-hmm.
this our whole married life since I've known
Mm-hmm.
you. Do you think I'm not going to support you in something that could lead you to greater freedom? And it just, ugh, he's so sweet and supportive, and he always has been. But I decided, okay, I'm going to sign up, not knowing anything about you or the class or anything.
Yeah.
And so,
That was the
yes,
funny thing on my
so
side. I'm like, do you even know what you
right,
signed up for? Like, do you even know what this is? That was so funny. But,
right. And I didn't, but I knew what I was doing was not
yeah.
working for me. I knew I needed a completely different way. And so let's just say starting your class rocked my world in every way possible. Um, I realized, I clearly realized for the first time how much I had been living in sin as far as body image idolatry goes. Um, I had been a Christian since college. I became a Christian my freshman year in college when I was 18. And although I had surrendered so many areas of my life, this was one area that I needed to be in
Yeah.
control of. And I didn't even know how much I was
Mm-hmm.
enslaved until I took your class and until I started letting go and
Yeah.
surrendering. And so, yeah, it rocked my world. I think of the verse John 9:25 that says, "One thing I do know, I was
Mm-hmm.
blind, but now I
Yeah.
see." And I knew I had an issue with it, but I was blind to the extent
Yeah.
of it. And as I've been on this journey now for 2 years, I can see clearly how immersed I was in wanting to change my body and how it was so connected to my identity.
Yeah.
And so it's been a really messy journey, but a really necessary one for me to go
Yeah.
through to be where I am.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for sharing all that.
Yeah.
And I mean, it is messy,
Mhm.
but I'm wondering if you could speak to just the gentleness of God in the mess,
Mhm.
right? Because for those who don't actually know how the course worked, right? So what happens? Lesley signed up. I think you signed up for, did we do 12 weeks that time? We've tried a bunch
Yeah,
of
10,
different
10 or
ways.
12 weeks. It was
I
a
think
few
we did.
months.
I think we did 12
Hmm.
weeks.
Hmm.
And so you watch the videos of the online class, the Body Image Freedom Framework online class, and that's available. You can like sign up and do that on your own. But the way Lesley did it is, I think, the preferred way. So you would watch a video, and there's some homework to do, journaling exercises, some sermons to listen to, some podcasts to listen to. And then we come back together, and you had, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 people in your group. We had a small group discussion once a week. But then in between those small group discussions, we used Voxer, the voice messaging app. And so if you had a question or you're like, Heather, I'm just like really stuck with this and I don't know what to do with this, then we would just go back and forth. We went back and forth a lot.
Yeah, we did.
But so that's kind of what it looked like for you with me for those couple of months that we were together. But I think it's scary for people to think about, right? Like, oh goodness, Lesley, you're saying like you were convicted of sin and you changed your ways. Like, I feel like that sounds like a really frightening thing to go through. Can you speak to like God's gentleness in that process and maybe my gentleness too? I don't know,
Yeah.
but like, what was it overwhelming? Was it a fearful experience?
Yes, yes, because I was entering a path that it was foreign to me.
Hmm.
I was entering this path that would lead to freedom, but I didn't know for sure if it would lead to freedom.
Yeah.
And I was fearful of gaining weight, to be
Hmm.
honest. And I was like
Yeah.
there, I was convinced freedom could not exist if I didn't stay in the same size body.
Mm.
Like
Yeah.
I was totally convinced of that. And so to let go
Yeah.
of controlling my food intake and
Yeah.
all that was a huge thing for me. But no, you were so patient with me. And now that I'm on the other side of it, I can only imagine all the thoughts you were having that you kept to yourself as I was like sharing some of my belief system or my mindset and things like that. Um, God was so gracious and gentle with me, and He still is through this messy journey of recovery. He doesn't force us to do anything. He just invites us.
Hmm. Yeah.
And and then He's with us as we go through the
Hmm.
mess and the scary. And
Yeah.
this journey that I began, um, it had a lot of challenge. It had a lot of tears. It had um, joy. It had empowerment. Um, and it had all the levels of grief that
Mm.
that we that I now know about. So those are denial. When I came into this, I
Hmm.
was in denial as to
Hmm.
how severe my issue was. And then comes anger, and there's bargaining, sadness, and then acceptance. And it doesn't always go in that order, of course,
Hmm.
but coming to a place of acceptance is where the freedom comes, I feel. And
Hmm.
I can say I'm finally there. Not that I
Yeah.
won't revert back to these other stages at times, but in general, I'm living in a space of acceptance, the
Hmm.
way God made my body. And um, really, I had my identity. My identity was misplaced before.
Hmm.
It was too attached to this number, this look. Um, and you know, I had to learn that it wasn't realistic for me to become free and still be in the body I was in before. Because I was restricting
Mm.
for so many years. If I were to
Yeah.
become free and not obsess about food and the scale and all that, I had to give myself more grace and more freedom to have more than my body was had been used to for so long. And
Yeah.
so that was really hard initially. Um, I can remember it felt traumatic to me, but having a dressing room experience that I'm pretty sure I talked to you about afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I tried on some clothes at Old Navy with my daughter. Well, she was at Old Navy with me, but I was in tears. It was it was so hard. I felt like almost like I was hyperventilating, like claustrophobic, like get me out of here. I'm not safe.
Mm-hmm.
It was awful. My daughter and I were supposed to spend the day together and go out to lunch and go on a walk, and I couldn't do it. I had to tell her, and I've been honest with her about my journey. I've been honest with my kids. But I had to tell her, no, I'm so sorry. I have to go home. I have to journal and process all
Mm-hmm.
of this. And she was very gracious and we were able to reschedule our time together. But that was like so hard for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then just 3 short weeks later, I had like a very victorious experience where I was at the pool with my kids and we had so much fun together and they were dunking me and splashing. We were going down water slides together. Like I was like a little kid and like 2 hours into it, it dawned on me, oh my goodness, I haven't thought once about my body.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Yeah.
just, it was amazing. Um, so lots of like highs and lows
Yeah.
in this journey.
Yeah.
But I think for me, you know, inviting God into this area of my life that I had not really knowingly kept closed from him
Mm-hmm.
my whole walk with him, inviting him
Mm-hmm.
into that has been huge because
Yeah.
I've trusted him with an area I was holding so tightly onto.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see now being on the other side, like he walked through that with me. He's trustworthy. It's okay. I'm still alive. I'm more joyful than ever. I'm more present with my family than ever. Um, and it's like the prize of getting free from food and body image issues that's not just like the only prize I'm seeking. Like the prize has been being fully available to be used by God
Mm-hmm.
with the gifts he's given me and the story he's currently writing. And that's what I'm living in right now. Like, okay, Lord, how do you want to use my story to bless others, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, like we met privately several times. We had several sessions. And at
Mm-hmm.
one point, you had said very graciously, you know, Lesley, you might benefit from meeting with a dietitian. And so you referred me to your friend, and she's a Christian dietitian that specializes in eating disorders and disordered eating and all those things.
Yeah.
And so,
And wait, let me pause a second though. Let me pause. Did you think you had an eating disorder coming into this?
oh,
And I heard you use the word recovery, and I was thinking we need to loop back to that because, like, did you know that you had anything to recover from?
no, 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 not
And
at all.
so I don't want to interrupt. I referred you to Amy, and I remember. Well, I'll say the funny part because
Yes,
I was like, maybe you could do a session or two, and I'm thinking she probably needs more than a session or two,
yes,
but you were willing to be like, okay, maybe I do a session or two.
yes, yes, right, right. Well, then when I started seeing her, it was most of my sessions were in 2024 with her, but it ended up being 25 sessions, not just two. And you know, after a couple sessions, she was like, "Yeah, you're gonna need to be in my office. You need to be here, and it's gonna be more than a few sessions." You know, she just kind of graciously said that. But when she talked about recovery, she defined it as recovering your life in Christ.
Mm,
And
she's good.
she is so good. I know. And I just thought that was really, really helpful to think of it that way.
Yeah.
And another thing I was kind of in denial in was the fact that anytime I've tried like any kind of program, whether it was the program coaching or counting calories, or there was a season where I did Weight Watchers, like whatever the program was that I was trying to do, I could never stick to it
Mm,
like it was recommended. So
yeah.
I in my mind I thought, oh well, I don't have an issue because I can never do the program that the way
Hmm.
they recommend it, you know?
Right.
but I was still restricting. It just wasn't to
Mhm.
the extent of what was
Yeah.
being recommended. And so, because again, I hate being hungry. And so Amy said to me, well, A, that probably protected you from having a full-blown eating disorder.
Full-blown anorexia.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was
And
thinking the same thing.
B, just because you haven't been able to follow the program to a T like you wanted to, whatever program it was, it does not make you any less of a restrictor. And
Mhm.
that was like, whoa, what? What
Yeah.
did you just say?
Yeah.
So she was really helpful at helping me to come to grips with my reality,
Mhm.
in a very, Amy, in a very gentle way.
Mhm.
Um, so that was good, but it was hard.
Mhm.
Um, and eventually, as I mentioned, I was coaching for this program, and there were just so many things I enjoyed about it. But I eventually came to the conclusion that I could no longer move forward in my healing journey, my recovery, and be fully recovered, and also be coaching others in their journeys, which often involved weight loss. I was
Mhm.
on a completely different path now. And so eventually I had to make a very difficult decision to step away from that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was very hard. As I said, there were many things I did enjoy about it,
Yeah.
but um, I needed to do that for my own healing journey.
Yeah. And you gave up income to do that as well,
Yeah,
right? I mean, that's how serious of a decision it was for
yeah,
you.
right,
I
right.
think that's significant.
Yeah,
That was you had to make a big sacrifice.
yeah,
So,
yeah. A lot of
yeah.
prayer and thought went into it, and now that I'm kind of on the other side of it, I do see the Lord definitely needed me to do that in order
Mhm.
to be where I am today.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I resigned from my position in October of 2024, and then about a month, and I was feeling freedom on my journey for sure. And then about a month later, my world kind of turned upside down with some various circumstances going on in my family. And so for the next several months, it was really, really difficult and chaotic in my world. Um, and I know I had heard that, like, oh, yeah, when you're stressed, that's when your eating disorder, those behaviors can kind of
Hmm.
flare up. But I never really like knew if that was the case for me
Hmm.
until I was living in this chaos, and my weight hadn't changed much. Not because I was weighing myself, but I had to give blood, and I found out. So my
Yeah.
weight hadn't changed much during this crazy time, but all of a sudden my mind was like, I need to go back to my old ways. I need to
Hmm.
restrict. I need
Yeah.
to do the things I used to do. Um, However, it was a little bit different. I was now bargaining instead of
Hmm.
like, I knew that I couldn't go back and restrict like I had been, but I still
Hmm.
wanted to restrict to some extent.
Hmm.
But in a more gentle way, maybe.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, my son, just like your son, my son was graduating in June of this year. And so in February, I started thinking like, oh, if I restrict, I literally was like calculating even like,
Hmm.
if I do this, then by June, maybe I'll be down 10 pounds, 15 pounds. Like that's doable. That's not
Hmm.
super, whatever. And by the grace of God, I never followed through with it, but I had lots of
Hmm.
thoughts to do that. And then graduation comes, and I wanted to look good in the pictures,
Hmm.
that was partly my mindset. And
Yeah.
I know it was much deeper than that, but I never followed through with it. Graduation came, and I was actually talking to Amy, my dietitian, about it like a week after graduation. And she said, well, what do you think? What do you think when you look at those graduation pictures? And I said, well, I look at that girl not with the thought of, oh, she needs to lose weight, but with a lot of grace and compassion and kindness, because I knew the year that she had had, and
Yeah.
she didn't numb, she didn't restrict, she used her tools, she felt all the feels, which
Hmm.
included a lot of tears, and she stayed in community with people
Mm,
who understood and she could be honest with.
yeah. Yeah.
And to me, that was so much progress from
Absolutely.
2 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. When things are out of control, we want to control whatever we can.
Mhm.
And I mean, I've done the same thing, Lesley. It's like, oh, I won't control as much as I used to control. I'll just control like a little bit. Like,
Mhm.
it totally is bargaining.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
get it. I get it.
Yeah, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
So things got a little bit, I guess, more back to a steady state in your home life.
Yes.
What's the last, several months been like?
Oh, I felt so much freedom. I
Mm,
felt so much freedom. And even like preparing for today in our conversation, I've been looking back at old journals and it's just, it's so encouraging in so many ways to see where I've come, over the last 2 years. And it's also sad in some ways to know where I was, but it's okay. It's God knew I'd have to walk through this in order to be where I am today. I will say my belief system has changed so much, and it's amazing how once that happened, like my behaviors changed. And
yeah.
so,
Can you speak to any of those beliefs?
yeah, like I don't look at food, I don't attach morality to food any longer. Um,
Mm,
I clearly we all know some foods are more nutritious than others, but there's no like shame attached to ice cream or cookies. Like if I decide to have that, it's fine.
mhm,
And it's been so interesting because prior to starting this journey, I used to think, I was convinced I was a sugar addict.
mhm. Oh, I know. I remember those conversations.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I was convinced of it because there were certain things I felt out of control with. But when I look back at all the times I felt out of control, it was either because I did like a long stretch of no sugar, like a sugar
Mhm,
fast. And then
mhm,
once that time period ended, like I know I gave it up for Lent even in college, I
mhm,
went nuts on jelly beans. I went nuts
mhm.
on the cakes and the whatever because now that
Mhm,
period was over. Um,
mhm,
or if I'm restricting throughout the day, there comes a point in time in my day that my body can no longer go without food. And then
mhm,
I felt out of control, like, oh my goodness, I'm binging. I have a problem with binging. No, that wasn't my story. It was that I was
mhm.
restricting and my body needed to restore itself. And so
Right.
now that I'm no longer restricting, I have to be honest, I never feel out of control with food. Like
Yeah.
sugar's not bad. I can have it if I want. I don't have it every day.
Right.
It's not a big deal. And if I have a cookie, it's usually one or two cookies. It doesn't lead to a bunch because I can have it later if I want. Like it's not a big deal anymore.
Right. Isn't it so surprising though? Like, are you
Yes,
kind of in shock that it's that way?
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I'm still in shock because I'd be like, huh, I forgot that we even had that, those cookies or that candy or, Halloween candy.
Yeah,
We just had that out a couple months ago. It's like, oh, yeah, it's fine. Like, I
right.
like that one. Maybe I'll have one of those. But before, it would have been like, I buy the kind I didn't like, and then I would still eat them all, even though I
Uh-huh.
didn't like them.
Uh-huh.
Right? So
Right.
it is shocking. And, you said it as the belief system of not assigning moral value to food, but it is shocking how just having a different belief system and then of course you had to work with Amy around like
Mhm.
some behaviors after that belief system of just really to free yourself from restricting. But it
Mhm.
is shocking how it works, doesn't it?
It is. It is.
Yeah.
And the whole idea that like food is not just fuel, that it's meant to be
Hmm.
enjoyed. Like that was kind of
Hmm.
my mindset before. Like food is
Yeah.
just meant to fuel you to feel good. Well, yes, of
Right.
course I want to eat foods that make me feel good. But
Right.
that's why did God give us taste buds if food was just
Right.
meant to be fuel? And why is he
Right.
preparing a feast for us in heaven someday
Right.
that we will enjoy, even though our bodies won't need food in heaven?
Right.
And so now it's like when I have the treat or whatever, like I'm gonna enjoy it. And I'm not just gonna
Mhm.
eat things that don't sound good to me because it's just why would I do like no,
Yeah.
I want to really enjoy my food. And so just inviting the Lord into that with me
Yeah.
has been
Yeah.
different, like so
Yeah.
different,
Yeah.
but good in
Yeah.
a good way. Um, Another thing is my body was changing a little bit as I was starting to listen to its needs versus allow external rules to dictate my choices. Like that was a huge shift. Now I'm like listening. Oh, are you hungry? What are you hungry for?
Mhm.
Like when as my body was changing during that process, my clothes were getting a little snug, and for a
Mhm.
while there I was so resistant to buying clothes that fit my body
Mhm.
because somehow I thought that new number on the clothing size tag was attached to my identity. Like
Yeah.
as I was healing,
Failure. It feels like failure,
Yeah,
right? We were
yeah,
taught it was failure, right?
yeah. And I could not buy new clothes. So instead I'd be uncomfortable in my snug clothes, but that discomfort would remind me
Hmm.
that my body was changing, so that wasn't helpful. But eventually, I did buy some new clothes that fit my body now. And honestly, that was like the kindest thing I could do for myself that
Hmm.
I resisted for so long because
Right.
I felt shame attached to that.
Right. Yeah.
Um, yeah, so that was a huge thing um, that changed for me. Yeah, it's amazing how my belief system has changed and how that has truly impacted how I live my life now.
Did you ever think you could have a conversation about feeling peaceful or joyful or even rest filled, right? Because I would say that's your new posture with food without having lost X number of pounds. Like, did you ever think that was even possible?
No, no, because it was so closely connected to
Mm-hmm.
my weight. Body image freedom was so closely connected to my weight. Like they went hand in
Mm-hmm.
hand. So I, this is a miracle that we're even having this conversation, a miracle of the Lord that He did. Like that's the transformation, like you were talking transformation in the beginning. That's the
Yeah.
transformation that's taken place in my heart. And honestly, for the first time in my life, I don't have the goal to shrink my body in
Mm-hmm.
some form, which
Yeah.
is, yeah, that's huge. Um, I'm no longer restricting mentally or physically
Mm-hmm.
because there is a mental component to that too.
Absolutely.
Like I couldn't restrict the way I wanted to ever, but
Mm-hmm.
mentally then it was like, oh, I'm a failure. Like, why can't I do that? Those people can do that, but I can't do it. What's wrong with me?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's amazing to me that I don't feel out of control with food. And there is
Yeah.
just such a close connection between, I've learned restriction and binging.
Mm-hmm.
When you let go of that restriction component, the binging improves so much,
Right.
you know?
Right.
Um, so yeah, I would say in general, I'm just giving myself a lot more grace and compassion. I'm kind to myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm listening to my body. I'm resting when I need to rest. Um, I'm really listening to the cues that our God, our creator, who is so wise and how he's created us, has given us. And listening to those
Yeah.
cues and letting those dictate my decisions, whether it's sleep, water, exercise, food, um, versus the external rules.
Yeah.
So, um,
Yeah.
I think some people think, oh, you're abandoning all your healthy habits that you
Mm-hmm.
developed over the years because now you're on this other journey. No, 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 that's not it. Like I want to
Right.
still feel good. I want to show up well.
Yeah.
It's just I'm not obsessing about it. I'm
Yeah.
not, you know, tracking everything. I'm
Right.
just living. I'm more present. And that's
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the quote of the day. I'm just living.
Yeah.
And but that is not what we do when we're chasing a certain body size or a certain look.
Mhm.
We're not just living, and we're
Mhm.
certainly not just living for the Lord,
Right.
right? I mean, but I'm so glad you said what you just said because I was trying to think of a way to ask you a question to ask that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think somebody hearing this might be like, well, she just is not doing anything healthy anymore, and that's not healthy. And don't you know the Bible wants us to be healthy? And like, I hear the feedback of health, 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 health.
Right.
And I think what you've experienced and what I've experienced is like, whoa, all these voices in the world trying to tell us how to be healthy, like they're kind of unhealthy, right?
Mhm,
Like
mhm,
maybe some of what they said might be good, but all of it together is just
mhm.
putting this giant unhealthy burden on us
Yeah.
to do things with our food and our bodies that we were never intended to do.
Mhm,
And we're not getting healthier by trying to follow everyone's rules and everyone's ways and everyone's programs.
mhm,
We're just being more and more distracted
right.
from what you said, the living,
Yes.
like the just living,
Yeah.
right? So Lesley, as we close today, right? Someone listening is like, oh, that sounds scary. I think I need that. I don't know though. Like that would just be really weird, but I kind of want that freedom. Like, how would you encourage them? What would you say to them? What would you say to the person that's thinking about a journey like this?
Yeah. I would say it's completely understandable to be scared of the future. But our God is bigger than that. And I don't think this freedom that He has for us to live in this side of heaven can exist without opening our hands and surrendering our will, our plans, our desires, and even others' opinions of us, even
Mhm.
our journey of recovery. Like, I wanted to be recovered like that. And
Yeah.
that wasn't the case. I had a lot of
Yeah.
stuff I had to work through. And
Yeah.
so I would just encourage someone out there that the journey is worth it, and it starts with just loosening your grip just a little bit and seeing what
Mhm.
the Lord wants to do with that.
Yeah. I love that. I love that so much. Is there anything we missed? Anything you're like, I wanted to make sure that I said this part of my story?
Yeah, you in your class, you had us listen to a lot of Tim Keller sermons, which I loved. And one of the things that gripped me when I was like, do I really have an idolatry problem? Was his description of idolatry. And
Mm,
then I was like, yep, he hit the nail on the head. Yep, this is an
mm,
idol for me. And his description was idols consume you as you pursue them, disappoint you when you get them,
mm,
and devastate you when you lose them.
mm.
And that was really eye-opening to me. Um,
Yeah,
I definitely had an idolatry problem.
yeah,
And you know
yeah.
what? We all do. Like our hearts are little idol factories. So there's no shame in that. That's just the way our hearts are.
Right,
But you can't heal if you aren't aware that it exists.
right.
So it's good to kind of take an inventory like, okay, what are the things in my life that are consuming me, that
Mm,
are disappointing me when I get
mm,
them, and that are devastating me if I lose them? What are those
yeah,
things? We all have them. Um,
yeah,
so it is worth, taking that inventory and then going to the Lord with your idols because he doesn't want you to worship anything but him.
yeah.
And he's so faithful to walk through this with us.
Mm,
You know, he's been so faithful.
amen.
So I'm
Amen.
grateful to be here, grateful for you, Heather, to be walking through this journey with me and starting the journey 2 years ago. I had
Hmm.
no idea what was in store, and it's a good thing I didn't at that time. But I'm
Maybe it is.
grateful. Yeah.
Oh, Lesley, thank you so much, man. You're preaching good there at the end.
You're
Like,
welcome.
and I would just say, as you listen to Leslie's story, my friend, my listener, like, man, I think the wisdom she just offered there is the best thing you could do for yourself as you head into a new year. Just try to loosen your grip a little and say, God, like, what is consuming me? What is disappointing me? What would I be devastated to lose? And if there's anything that comes to mind, and it's not Jesus, right? Then you do have an idol problem, friend. You've got work to do. But the good news is on the other side of that work is so much freedom. And as someone who worked with Lesley in the very beginning, day one, like I'm just looking at you and your countenance is different.
Mm.
you are more peaceful now.
Mhm.
You you look more just at rest,
Mhm.
right? And so I can just even see it on you from those first, couple Zoom calls many
Yeah.
years ago,
Yeah.
right? And so the freedom is out there. God's not going to be stingy with it. He's going to be faithful. So, Lesley, again, thank you so much for sharing your story today.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me, Heather.
Yeah. And thank you for listening today. I hope something today has helped you stop comparing and start living. Bye bye. The Comparative Podcast is proud to be part of the Life Audio Podcast Network. For more great Christian podcasts, go to lifeaudio.com. And if this episode encouraged you, share it with a friend.